Welcome to EMG's webinar, Reinventing the Customer Experience. Make it exceptional, make it memorable. My name is Kristen Ruber. I am in our marketing department, along with Emily Kaiser. She's another member of our marketing team here at EMG, and we're here hosting this today along with our subject matter experts who I will introduce shortly. The webinar will be available for on-demand download on our website, and a link will also be emailed to you tomorrow. First of all, thank you for taking the time out of your day to attend this informative and interactive webinar. We hope that you will gain tools and insight that will allow you to incorporate some of what you see today in our business strategies as you move forward with projects, programs, and long-range planning for your brand. Customer service is always critical to bring repeat customers in, but today you may find out some other strategies and tips that we are seeing across the nation, across a variety of retail brands that are reinventing the bricks and mortar customer experience. The tip sheets that we feature in this webinar are available to download on our website under our Resources Center. A few additional tip sheets are available in the handout section of your GoToWebinar panel as PDFs. Feel free to click those and download those right now to your computer if you would like. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them in the questions pane or in the chat box. We'll be monitoring that, and we'll be taking your questions during the webinar. This takes care of our housekeeping items. Now I'd like to introduce you to our presenters, Chris Varney, Steve McMahon, and Justin York. Chris is a principal and executive vice president with EMG for the past 11 years. He has a BS in architectural engineering and an MBA from the University of Dallas. Chris oversees our project management sales division and has worked with Panera Bread, FedEx Office, Wells Fargo, 7-Eleven, Harbor Freight, and many other top clients. Steve McMahon is a senior program manager with EMG and has been on board with us for 18 years. Steve has a BA from Cal State Long Beach. Steve's client portfolio includes Starbucks, Target, Home Depot, Circle K, Costco, Safeway, Shell, Wyndham, and many others. Justin York is also joining us today, and he is also a senior program manager with EMG and has been on board with us for 17 years. Justin has a BS in biology, a BS in agriculture, and an MS in environmental science. Justin's client portfolio includes Walgreens, Bridgestone, Progressive, 7-Eleven, ConocoPhillips, and many others. Next slide, please. Today's agenda, extensive but very good information, very good visuals that we think you're going to enjoy. We want to talk about the importance of the customer experience, the differences and some of the exciting things in technology that we're seeing with the brick and mortar establishments. We also have a really great case study on somebody that was an e-tailer and is now a retailer. They've gone from online to bricks and mortar. Some of the remodel trends, understanding curb appeal, and then touching on real briefly the ADA compliance concerns and issues. That is one of the handouts. Also some technological innovations that we have helped implement and some of the other trends that we are seeing working with our clients. And the case studies, that's a great section. Stick around for that. You'll really see what a third-party company like EMG can do. And then we'll go over some of our project management best practices. Next slide, please. So the ever-growing presence of online shopping is making it necessary for the physical brick and mortar stores to create an optimized experience for its customers that's every bit as streamlined, well-stocked, seamless, speedy, easy to use, and as fast as what customers have grown to use on the web. It's the simplicity and that speed that you and I and our customers are seeking. Zendesk found that 87% of customers think brands need to put more effort into providing a seamless experience. Next slide, please. And with that, Chris Varney, take it away.
Awesome, thanks, Kristen. So good morning, good afternoon to everybody out there. I appreciate you guys joining. So why remodel when we hear a lot of news about store closings and the evolution of e-commerce? We truly believe, and I'm sure most of you do as well, that brick and mortar still matters and still alive and should not be neglected. So really wanted to start off and kind of talk about why we think brick and mortar has advantages over online or mobile shopping. First off is the customer experience is really viewed as a competitive differentiator. Having that physical experience versus online only seems to be a big difference for folks. Physical stores increase brand awareness and create that emotional connection. And as Kristen alluded to, we see some retailers who are online only going to brick and mortar. And again, it's using the customer's desire for an immediate purchase and really having an exciting experience. We'll touch on one in the case studies later about an online retailer who's gone brick and mortar, and that's Untuckit. Pretty neat little story about them. But again, physical store allows customers to stay longer, browse more, and really just have that emotional connection with a brand. Entertainment. Some recent studies have shown that an in-store experience that entertains me is probably one of the top 3 ideas for the future of retail. We see a lot of our existing customers that are really trying to merge experience in the store with entertainment, whether that be a coffee shop, a bar, lounge, or some other type of technology. And lastly, it's convenience. A lot of people still like instant gratification that the physical stores can fulfill. Customers also like returning things. So I know we order a lot of things online, but oftentimes it can become a pain to return stuff. So that convenience is important as well. Lastly, people who buy from a brand's online store typically visit their physical location at some point. So again, challenge you to continue to invest in the brick and mortar, and it really, again, facilitates that physical bond with your product, services, and really provides that elevated shopping experience that the customers want. Next slide. So why improve the customer experience? Later we'll talk about kind of keeping up with the competition, but here we're really looking at the reasons top brands are investing in the customer experience. A recent study by Genesis indicated that the top 3 reasons businesses proactively manage and invest in customer experience are to improve customer retention, improve customer satisfaction, and lastly, increase cross-selling and upselling. If you can get folks into the store, you've got a better chance at selling them additional products. Again, we'll talk about this in our case studies. Large cell phone retailer has really leveraged that and really kind of creating stores within stores, so you go in just for a certain product and able to look at other stuff down the road or in the store. So again, by addressing these 3 reasons, I think you'll definitely see an ROI for your investment. Next slide. So why improve the customer experience? Previous slide talked about reasons why brands are investing in customer experience. This slide really shows kind of the benefits and the results of improving that customer experience. Again, customer experience is super important. If a customer is more likely to make a purchase if they have a positive experience, more or most likely to buy from the store or purchase through another channel with that brand. They'll also consider buying from that retailer the next time, and they'll also recommend your brand to someone else. Studies have also shown that people will pay more for a better experience. We've got another case study down the road too of a fast casual chicken provider that has a great product. People are willing to pay a little bit more for that, and that's a lot of it due to the product, but also the experience at the store. And again, customer experience is really a brand differentiator. So what studies are telling us is by around 2020, the customer experience really is going to overtake price and product as a key brand differentiator. I just read an article this morning about Abercrombie & Fitch, what they're doing to their dressing rooms. So now you've got music, you can select your own music, your own LED lighting, you can put multiple people in there. So again, people are looking for ways to create a better experience for that store. All right, next slide. So how can you personalize the experience and delight your customers? So we've touched on why companies are investing in the customer experience and the benefits of these customer experiences. Now we'll look at kind of how we position your brand for that reinvention. So not all reinventions will be the same, and we know it's unique to your brand, but it's really understanding the customer and how that relates to your industry, your brand. What does the customer want? What do they need? And again, how do you personalize that experience? So some of the things to look at are service. I think we can all name who the exemplary service providers are, whether that's LL Bean, Zappos, Amazon. Are your customers being greeted? Are they getting helped? Customers really want good service. How do you guys compare to the competition? So, you know, a lot of people are reinvesting in stores, but the typical paint, carpet, flooring, lighting is not enough. You've really got to create some type of memorable experience for that customer. Lastly, client's temperature. You know, you really need to understand the various reasons for customers shopping there. Always listen to your customers. The other thing I would suggest doing is really creating brand standards and measuring against those standards each time. Again, knowing your customer will help you decide how to reinvent that brand. Understand why customers are leaving the store. Implement technology that makes it easier to track customers' behavior and identify those trends. All right, next slide. So, reasons for shopping in store. We've talked about the 5 reasons brick and mortar stores remain relevant, but your customer-specific reasons may vary when it comes to attracting them. Their answers may vary based on gender, age, location. Google Surveys did a recent survey and found these next few items that you should consider as part of your program. Female shoppers tend to want to see, touch, and feel products versus men who like instant gratification. Younger generation, really motivated by speed. They like to take things home immediately. Another interesting statistic was rural customers are 71% more likely to go to the store, which I thought was interesting. Another study by Retail Dive lists similar reasons, but their top 5 reasons are people want to touch, see, and feel things before they take them home. And again, they want to take those things home immediately. They want to have an easy return experience. They want to enjoy the experience, whether at the store. And lastly, you can ask questions to store associates. I think we've all struggled a little bit. If we've got a question on a product, it's sometimes very difficult to do that online. So again, lots of various reasons. Just make sure you understand your customer. Next slide. All right, lastly is really the customer experience management. So this strategy is really about defining this for your business before you hire partners, whether it be an architect, a contractor, project management firm. So one way to effectively do that is really to have that strategy, which really just is a kind of a collection of processes where you track, oversee, organize every interaction between a customer and an organization, not just at specific touch points, but around the entire customer life cycle. So this customer journey is really composed of about 5 different steps. Awareness. How does your customer become aware of your product? How do they consider your product? The actual purchase. How do you return or how do you retain those customers? And also lastly, having that customer be an advocate of your brand. So again, important to understand and manage the experience throughout each step to maintain that loyalty. So you can see kind of the 5 pieces of that journey. 1, gather data. Again, you've got to continue to analyze that data, make sure that gets communicated to employees, leaders. Take that data, analyze it. What's causing the bad customer experience? Close the loop on any of that feedback and follow up. Act on the data. Again, once you understand what that is, figure out a solution for that. And lastly, drive change. Be innovative, differentiate. You've got to create that experience which differentiates you from your competitors. Next slide.
Thanks, Chris. Justin York is going to speak about our remodels.
Thanks, Kristen. Yeah, many of us have experience in remodels, but in today's competitive retail environment, like Chris previously alluded to, traditional remodel scope like painting and flooring and lighting and merchandising, etc., may not be sufficient to re-engage and excite customers. Though all still important to maintain the assets and the customer experience, it's now equally important to keep current of innovative trends and reinvent the retail space as needed. Once you take your customer's temperature and determine what attracts them to your retail establishment, the reinvention of the brand begins, with the ultimate goal of 1, increasing your customer loyalty and value to the brand, 2, improve cross-selling and upselling opportunities within the space, and 3, reducing customer churn and cost to acquire those new customers. The purpose of remodeling is to attract more customers and should be focused towards experimental areas of the store. We are continuing to see trends of the store within a store concept taking hold even within a small footprint. One example is major drugstore retailer Walgreens. They have several initiatives planned now and in the coming future with this concept in mind. The goal of bringing in more foot traffic by offering ancillary health and wellness services within their stores, with the ultimate goal of driving more product leaving the store. Results to date have been very positive for Walgreens, and we anticipate that strategy to continue. Other strategies being implemented with remodel programs include offering wider selections with multiple shopping experiences merged into the same retail space. An example of this would be a coffee shop within a larger retail space, again with the hopes of driving additional foot traffic. Secondly, offering rotating goods, unique space planning or visual design such as signage to affect the customer experience. And third, offering innovative technology for interactive shopping experiences, things like 24-hour, 7-day-a-week shopping, robot-assisted drive-throughs, and mobile pay options while in the store. Consider where you want customers spending most of their time, and gearing design planning strategies of your remodels toward these areas can help attract more customers. And as Kristen alluded to at the beginning, to learn how to create and execute a comprehensive program for scale and consistency, feel free to download our free tip sheet that identifies the top 6 considerations to help you prepare for a successful remodel program. Next slide, please. One critical consideration when developing a remodeling program is to understand what assets you have and their condition. This information can help you prioritize remodeling projects and invest in the areas that need it most. The overall customer experience benefits based on targeted plans, and EMG is often engaged to assist our clients develop these. One key service we are often employed to do is asset condition surveys, so you can use real data and site information to develop strategic plans quickly. You need to go quickly to react to the competition and the ever-changing retail climate. Next slide, please.
Oops, sorry. So regardless of your brand reinvention approach you choose, we've talked a lot about the interior of the store. Definitely challenge you to make sure you're reviewing curb appeal and ADA compliance. So Steve will talk a little bit more about ADA, but again, avoiding ADA really helps keep your brand relevant. It could be parking lots, entrances, lighting, restrooms, service counters, about 50 million Americans out there with disabilities. So again, make sure we have an accessible establishment that is going to draw those customers in. So Steve, I'll let you talk about curb appeal and ADA.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I think, it goes without saying that curb appeal is the first impression. So as we look to modernize and track our customers through the digital means and the different marketing ways to capture those customers' behaviors, the traditional aspects of customer retention apply. Curb appeal, obviously being a large one, and oftentimes can be a determining factor when a potential customer is looking to enter your establishment. Keep in mind, it's that first impression. It's the first thing the customer sees as they approach your business and can significantly impact how they view your business. And some of those items that can enhance curb appeal include parking lot projects, concrete and infrastructure work, updated and ADA compliant entryways, new signage, and fresh paint. And on the slides here, you'll see some examples from a Bloomin' brand project for Outback Steakhouse, where they did an exterior remodel to freshen the exterior of the store to attract customers from the curb appeal standpoint. Next slide.
Thanks, Steve.
And as Chris mentioned, some of the one of the larger customer base that we're all looking to capture and comply with are the 50 million ADA American with Disabilities Act customers that are coming through the doors routinely. And part of this means that we are able to provide a facility that is accessible to those needs. And one big thing as you consider remodeling and reinvesting in your stores related to a full scope package of looking at the entire store from the outside in is to really understand that many times if there are any required ADA upgrades, as part of the permitting process, that's going to be required by the cities and will need to be factored for the budget as you plan these projects. Many cities have certain percentage thresholds that when you go in to permit a new project, you'll be required to do this work. So it's important to understand the ADA scenarios at your locations, as well as factor that during budgeting to where your budget can be inclusive to include all factors, including accessibility and ADA requirements.
And Steve, one thing that I want to add is EMG put on a webinar on the top 8 barriers to accessibility that we see across the nation, across a variety of customers. It could be hospitality, restaurant, retail. And that tip sheet is available in the handout section, and that webinar is available to download on our Resource Center, and that will be at the end of the webinar. Thank you. And next slide, please, Justin. Justin, are you still there? We're going to be talking about some of the technological innovations that we are seeing and how we can see brands leverage technology in store. So we'll give some examples of those in the case studies. And we want to show that how technology will continue to reinvent how consumers shop, how it's important to keep up with the masses, see what your competitors are doing, see how you can tweak that to fit your brand and your clientele, and using technology to help deliver a seamless customer experience that consumers are demanding.
Yeah, sorry, Kristen, I'm back. So, like Kristen mentioned, many of us have children, so we're well aware that technology is rapidly changing and evolving, and it's so important as a retailer to keep up with those trends. Whether using mobile apps to order products that can be picked up or returned to brick and mortar stores, like Chris mentioned, or conversely trying out a product at a store prior to going home to order it online. Customers expect retailers to utilize technology and adapt. As a result, retailers are now using technology to help deliver the seamless customer experience consumers are demanding. No one does this better than an Apple store, as many of us are aware, but we have examples in our case studies following of others capitalizing on technology to benefit the customer experience. And Steve?
Thanks, Justin. So as technology continues to evolve, as Justin mentioned, leveraging that technology becomes paramount in tracking our customers and understanding what the customers are looking for and what their behaviors indicate they're looking to purchase and how they purchase. Some traditional items that have been linked to tracking is obviously typical traditional come into the store, fill out a loyalty card, and we'll send you emails. Coupled with that, e-commerce, and then getting into multi-channel, whether that's brick and mortar plus e-commerce plus phone support, phone orders, and then moving on to omni-channel. Omni-channel encompasses all of that in an integrated fashion where the customer can interact with a seamless experience across multiple devices and touch points. So from web to phone orders, mobile devices, brick and mortar, social media, we're able to track behaviors now that allow us to better understand the customer's behavior. In addition to omni-channel, also digital encounters, right? It's a digital world. We're looking for ways to maximize your audience before they even visit the physical location. Customers most likely begin their experience with your brand via a mobile digital encounter. They could be out to lunch, looking at their phone, sitting at home, looking at their computer. Decisions are being made before they walk into brick and mortar locations. So tying all that together, leveraging that through a multi-channel and omni-channel operation allows for us to provide that to the customers. And again, as far as is understanding how that applies to your chain and your individual stores. The team effort, so aligning with the executive team, marketing team, store managers, and more to provide the maximum benefit of a digital experience that leads consumers to the physical location. So even though we're out there looking through e-commerce and other methods, maybe even at another retailer's web portal, by the time the customer makes a decision, the idea is to drive them through all the things that Chris described earlier into the brick and mortar location to have that experience of instant gratification, easier returns, and entertaining interaction with the location and customer service that is tangible. Next slide.
Okay, so once you're able to get customers within the store, some of the trends or things we're seeing from a technology standpoint, and one takeaway today is how are you as a retailer leveraging technology within the store? And again, we stress the importance of paying attention to what the competition is doing. It's critical, and the ability to adapt to that. In today's retail environment, it's important to update signage, wireless technology, screens, and more to provide an enjoyable customer experience because they expect it. One way to differentiate yourself from traditional e-commerce is to implement innovative technology directly into that retail space. Gartner predicts by 2020, just a few short years from now, the retail customer will manage 85% of the relationship with an enterprise without interacting with a human. By adding in-store kiosks and virtual dressing rooms, augmented reality, and other forms of innovative technology, the retail store can enhance and customize the customer experience, reducing time waiting in lines and reduce any transaction friction associated with the in-store purchases. Even a simple product demonstration to provide the consumer the ability to see how a product will look or how they can use it can be very beneficial. One interesting statistic is 85% of customers are more likely to make a purchase after just watching a product video, as an example. It's also important to provide an easy in-store mobile interaction to personalize the experience. Worley, CEO of a proximity marketing division, notes that mobile payment technologies such as Apple Pay are already using technological innovation, but the smart retailer will be looking beyond just mobile payments. 52% of customers are less likely to engage with a company because of a bad mobile experience, as an example. Another technique being implemented is the in-store beacon technology, which provides retailers with the opportunity to enhance the shopping experience, often with special offers and discounts that go right to your cell phone while you're in the store. Beacons can help the retailer upsell to the customer by directing them to specific sections of the shop and recommending products. They can also provide further product information and display store guides to help the customer navigate the space. In the next section, we will go over some case studies that highlight innovative and use of technology to enhance the customer experience and push the competition to react. Next slide, please.
So now we're going to go ahead and touch on some of our cross-industry examples, how EMG has assisted clients to improve their customer experience.
Awesome, thanks. So I think everybody recognizes the logo. I think everybody's been to this place at some point in their life, and I think we all know what the experience is like, pretty consistent. But lots of competition out in this industry, the fast casual industry. So McDonald's is trying to figure out a way to really create a better experience. So they have rolled out a program called Experience of the Future. They've been a long-term client of ours, but they came to us and said, hey, we've got this new thing we want to do. How do we do that? So again, called Experience of the Future technology. It was actually kiosks that were at the front service counter. People would input their information or their order, and they would get a hand delivery. So they had kicked this off in a couple markets, Amarillo and Salt Lake City, and really introduced the program, allowed the customers to do this. It became wildly successful, so they have launched it across the country. The remodels affected really kind of three key areas, and it took about 5 days per location. So we were in the dining room, the kitchen, and the front counter. Again, their challenge was, how do we do this quickly how do we do it with scale across the country? Oftentimes, McDonald's would go into a market and leverage advertising in that market. So super critical that you would come in and blanket the entire region area to get all that work done. So again, aggressive program, demanded that sites be ready to go timely. So we helped really kind of establish that process, keep operations happy, and get the program implemented.
Hey, Chris.
Next slide.
We have a question from Dave. He's also with a national fast food retailer. He's wondering if EMG participates in this kind of work, partnering with clients for franchisees as well.
Sure, we do. So franchise world is a little different than the corporate world, where we have kind of helped clients is a couple things. One is almost kind of be a construction consultant to those franchisees, trying to help implement the corporate program. The other thing we have done with that is really turn around and become, we call it the brand police, for lack of a better word, ensuring that if a franchisee is going to do that remodel, that in fact they have done the remodel for what they said they were going to do. They have, you know, put the right paint up, the right fixture, furniture. So we actually go out and verify that. So large national coffee chain, we do that for all their licensees. We've done that for a couple other clients as well. And again, kind of acts as an extension of the staff. They can't always get out and spend time with franchisees. So we help, again, supplement that existing staff to ensure that their entire chain looks consistent.
Great, thank you. That answered Dave's question.
All right, next one.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so relating to another restaurant or fast casual retailer restaurant facilities, EMG client Chick-fil-A did a canopy and modular queuing program, and all of this was in an effort to be most efficient and to get the clients in and out with high quality product as fast as they could. The goal of the program was to top face-to-face users with permanent canopies to maximize mobility and protection from inclement weather. So the design was to put canopies out into the drive-through areas that allowed for additional employees servicing the clients to keep the lines moving, and under that canopy they're able to be protected during inclement weather, be that rain, and have heat if it's colder months. Implementation of 2 drive-through lanes will enable customers to take their food and drive away once prepared. And EMG's role in that was to create all of the status reports, to update the operators on project milestones, and interact with all of the approvals, permitting process, construction process, and to close those out. In addition to that canopy program, if the client was to park in the parking lot and go in for an in-store experience, the queuing program kicked into play, where a new queuing design, so how people come into the restaurant and are queued in to get to the registers to order their food, was implemented, where real estate was reduced for things like condiments and such, where the line could wrap around and be more efficient, so clients weren't waiting outside of the door and having the doors hit them, to where that line could be most efficient to direct those clients to those registers to order their food. So really exciting program, and touched a total of 180 operators and 50 business facility consultants, and that program continues and want to keep the clients moving efficiently. Next slide.
Awesome. We talked about this client before, Untuckit. So if you guys have been on a Southwest Airlines flight, you have probably seen their advertisements for Untuckit. So again, got their start online, but as they continued to grow, realized they've got a very unique product. It's, again, a shirt that does not have to be tucked in, but really to get the right fit for that, you need to go in the store. So they realized that. So they decided to go and actually build brick and mortar locations. They have got some recent funding. They are expanding quite a bit and growing. Their challenge was they were online. Now they had to go brick and mortar. They did not have any infrastructure in place to really accelerate that development process. So we really kind of came in and helped educate them on the best ways to do that, the best ways to build a team, establish process, budgets, timing, onboarding architects, contractors. So again, a little unique. They had no process in place. They didn't know what they were getting into, so we really kind of helped them guide through that process so we could, again, work on scale, quality, and timing for them. Next slide. All right, I'm up again. So this client, Panera Bread, has increased their yearly plan, what they call a defensive remodel. Kind of cool. So good name for that. But it's really about the customer experience. So we've been involved in a program for a couple of years now, updating the customer area. So they've increased or added barista stations. They've added, monitors for interaction with the client. There's waiting benches, kiosk stations. They've implemented a paging system for table service. And again, really that was about a better experience for the customer. And it was really about, how do we do this in an open store environment? We're open for breakfast all the way through dinner, so don't have a lot of time to work. How do we keep operations happy? So again, it was really about how do we do this program timely? How do we scale it? How do we maintain quality? The other unique thing about Panera was their organization is about 50% franchise. So we had to figure out how to implement a similar program in the franchise world for them. And again, for us, that role really was to become the brand police. All right, next slide.
Yeah, just to show across industries, we have a major banker here, Wells Fargo, that has an example of utilizing innovation to enhance the customer experience through self-guided interaction technology. So in 2017, EMG, we were tasked with rolling out about 250 of what they call the assisted service ATMs, or ASATM, nationwide, and that's to about 123 retail branches, which just supplements what they have been doing in previous years. So they've got approximately 370 units installed prior to 2017. And what these assisted service ATMs allow the customer to do is the ability to perform higher functions than traditional ATMs. And that would include things as dispensing larger denominations of cash. You can even initiate a loan application through the system. And all this without the need for any human interaction or waiting in lines to speak with a teller. They even provide services in 8 different languages with the goal of broadening the appeal to a diverse customer base that they have. Next slide.
Thanks, Justin. So a large retail chain did a family restroom expansion, and in response to new social considerations regarding public restroom policies, the client sought to expand options in an effort to accommodate all of their customers by installing single occupancy restrooms in their stores. So this restroom is available to any customer who would like privacy regardless of age or gender. And having previously engaged on other large-scale projects, the client knew EMG could provide the national reach with quick response, and these 260 locations were substantially completed within 4 months. And these were install of new bathrooms at locations that did not already have these bathrooms. So significant plumbing work, underground sewer connections, and this was, again, in an effort to accommodate all customers and to continue to allow those customers to interact with that retail experience comfortably. Next slide.
Okay, so we had mentioned earlier about the store within the store concept, and nobody has been doing that more prevalent than I think Walgreens. Primarily in their front end and both their pharmacy sectors within those stores, they've been attempting that concept. EMG was engaged to help them develop a program for what they call the PHR, the patient health rooms. And what those are is essentially a dedicated space for the pharmacists to both provide consultation to patients as well as immunizations. They've been doing this for about 3 years now, so they've implemented these in about 4,000 stores. Again, EMG was brought on to help them develop the design and help their store planning team figure out how to get these implemented in the stores with minimal cost and impact. Again, 4,000 sites and ongoing with another 1,500 of these planned for 2018. Next slide.
Okay, we referenced earlier on a cellular chain and open store remodels and the importance of open store remodels, keeping sales going while the stores are reconfigured. This program, again, small store, like Chris mentioned, they're compartmentalized for a cohesive customer experience and upselling environment to where if a client walks in to deal with their cell phone, they're also able to go to another section that they can deal with sports or buy a Fitbit, different accessories and music, headphones. And through this project, there was an acquisition of a wireless company by a nationally known cell phone retailer. 75 locations across the South, from West Texas to Florida. And the project required working with and in 4 separate business units for that retailer in Dallas, Houston, Little Rock, and Tampa. Each business unit had their own way of working, their own process for conducting construction and remodel projects. The scope of work requirements range from very minor cosmetic upgrades to extensive renovations of building interiors. The most complex project had 9-week construction duration, not including the pre-construction portion of each project. Each store remained open, like I mentioned, during the project, and sales were not impacted by the construction project. So, interestingly enough, as the stores remained open and the attempt was to not impact sales, sales actually increased during the construction project, even though the size of each was dramatically reduced while areas undergoing work were sectioned off. All stores were completed as scheduled, and the model of doing these projects is now known and consistent across the country for the entire chain of the cellular retailer. Next slide.
Chris Varney is going to go ahead and discuss our project management best practices. We hope you enjoyed the case study section. We'll go through this section here and then we'll take some questions. So thanks for hanging in there, guys. If you do have questions right now, go ahead and enter them in the questions panel on your control panel. Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. So again, hopefully you guys like the examples of kind of real world improvements to customer experience. Have done a lot of this for different retailers, so really just wanted to share with you what we kind of felt was best practices and ways to kick off a successful remodel program. So step one, first step for us really is kind of create a comprehensive program, and it's really about scale and consistency. You've got to sit down, set a clear scope, understand schedule, understand budget, delegate responsibilities. And through that, once you identify all the stakeholders, really got to come together, develop a playbook, develop process flow diagrams, so you can communicate that to the team and everybody knows what they're in charge of. And again, in addition to that, it's really important to train your surveyors to go out, conduct the surveys to understand what Steve was talking about, kind of asset conditions. Really establish those parameters so you get consistent, timely data that you can start taking and developing your plan with. Next slide. All right, step two. Our second tip really is about communicating with store managers, vendors, field staff on how we're going to go to construction. That's a big part of what to do. I know people don't like to close. Operations does not like us to be in there. So we really need to determine what's the best way to do that. How do we minimize impact to operations? How do we minimize impact to customers? So again, really understanding after hours, during store hours, and do we phase construction? How do we do that? So again, super important to set clear expectations early on in the process, so any concerns we've got can be addressed prior to us getting started. All right, next slide. All right, step three. So third and one of the most critical considerations, I think, really is you've got to build a team for that. So you know, I think that's obviously selecting the right project management partner if you don't have the right staff to do that. Understanding what skill sets you need, and again, getting all those partners involved. So the rollout team has really got to be skilled in this. You've got to have the right contractor, the right architect, the right lighting vendor, the right fixture vendor, the right permit expediter, whoever it is people that understand how to get in quickly and provide that scale and consistency across your entire chain. So again, a traditional contractor that may build your new stores is probably not the right guy for a remodel program. So again, it's just having the right team to make sure you're successful in executing the work. Next slide. Step 4, it's really about communication. So I always say construction is kind of easy part. It's really kind of keeping ops happy through that. So again, it's really having a protocol to communicate throughout the entire process, and it really avoids any issues. So again, it's really just regular and timely information that you communicate to the store team, making sure contractors, field personnel are talking with them, cleaning up the store, talking about next steps. If you communicate well, you typically avoid the problems of it. We all know it going up the chain and coming straight back down the chain. So again, communication, being consistent about it on a regular basis will oftentimes keep us out of trouble. Keeps ops happy. They're involved in the process, and they know we've got it. Next slide. So we'd also recommend some type of project management tool. So oftentimes as you're tracking a lot of data, a lot of stuff goes into these programs. If you're trying to work off Excel, it becomes very difficult. So it's really not scalable. It's not real time. So lots of great tools out there. You may have some type of program that exists already. We obviously have a program that we like to share with clients that don't have a tool. But at the end of the day, it's got to be some type of web-based tool. It's got to be updatable. It's got to be real time. It's got to be collaborative. You've got to have everybody involved in the process using that document. So the architect can't have a different spreadsheet. Your vendors or purchasing folks can't have a different spreadsheet. Marketing can't have a different spreadsheet. It's got to be one place where everything about that project is housed. All right, last one. So lastly, our sixth tip is really just kind of keeping a tab on construction. So, and that's really done through regular visits. So a lot of that is really obviously checking on quality and schedule and timing. A lot of it's keeping your ops folks happy. If we don't be there, if we're not there to help check on them, walk them through what we're doing, look at cleanliness, talk about when we're going to finish, punch in the store, things can go haywire. So again, it's really just regular visits to keep ops happy, keep our contractors in check with quality and schedule. So, all right. So again, I won't read these again, but it's really about process to have a good program in place so you can quickly scale across your portfolio and get things done quickly and timely. So, thanks, Kristen.
Thanks, Chris. Again, that tip sheet of those top 6 considerations is available in the control panel in the handout section of the GoToWebinar panel, so feel free to download that, as well as that ADA top 8 violations tip sheet. Both of those are available on our resource center. If we could go to the next slide, please, that would be great. Did we have any additional questions besides Dave's question on franchisees? I think you guys have been fantastic, very attentive. Our resource center on our website, if you go to our main navigation and then go to resources, you'll find all of our tip sheets, webinars, white papers, across a great wealth of information there. As you can see, here's a lot of information that relates to project management, and you can just click on these and download them, fill out a really quick form. Emily, if you'll go back one slide, please. And whoops. And go ahead, there we go. So these are the folks that were on the call today, our subject matter experts. We hope you enjoyed listening to Chris, Steve, and Justin provide a wealth of information and their knowledge. They've all been around with EMG and across a huge portfolio of clients nationwide for a long time with us. We appreciate their efforts today, and we thank you all for joining us. Their emails are there. Feel free to reach out to them if you have a specific question on a project or about a case study that was featured today. And tomorrow you will receive an email with a link to the webinar for you to download on demand. Thank you again for taking the time out and joining us today. We hope you found this informative and that you can incorporate some of these business strategies into future long-range planning with your brand. Thank you.